Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Higher Density Living. Beautiful rainy day here in New Mexico. Although it is a rare occurrence, it is happening, and we are enjoying it.
Yes, we are. I want to get into our series, and people are going to know what it is automatically because you could see this beautiful picture that we have.
Yes.
It's so interesting. We were talking about this off air with Ayn Rand. The people look at her like her personal life, and they attacked her. And I kind of want to get into this because we have this situation that's happening now, this cancel culture and everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. How involved should we get when we criticize somebody's personal life?
0. Do you want someone criticizing your personal life? No, that's your personal life. Your public life, that can be criticized. What you say in person, how you think, how you do all these other things. But
you have a right to criticize something, but
yeah, if you start rating somebody's like relationships,
right.
What's it for you to say what's going on with them personally?
Yeah, in a time where she's an independent woman and she wanted to do whatever she wanted. She was writing books, be with whoever she wanted to be. Who are we? You know, and that's what I told you. It's because she's a woman that these men feel like they can make the statement. If it was a man, they wouldn't even care.
Oh, it's the 60s. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, remember Bill Clinton when he was, looked at it, I did not have sexual relations with this woman.
Yeah.
I mean, and then everybody's like, oh, okay, president, thank you. It just dismissed it. You know what I mean?
Correct.
But if it was a woman president, and something like that would have happened, people would have been, oh, I can't believe, and then going into this whole morality, like judging somebody's morality.
Nobody's perfect. Okay. Everybody is going through their own evolutionary steps, and whether it's with their consciousness or dealing with morality, but that's for an individual to figure out.
Yes.
Not for you to say, I have higher and better morals than you. No, everybody should be empowered to have the best morals for themselves.
Well, the only action that you should, and you say this all the time, the only action that you should really, if I don't want to use the word judge, but look at, that should catch your attention is somebody imposing on somebody else's free will.
Correct.
Other than that, nothing should catch your attention.
And that's not even a function of morals. That's just someone is inhibiting that individual from being a human being. That doesn't seem right. You're inhibiting that person from being creative. You're inhibiting that individual from evolving.
But if she wants to be with a younger man or an older man,
so what?
And there's two people and they agree.
So what?
On their wills agree, it's none of our business, frankly.
No.
And people are injecting themselves into people's lives all the time and judging through this false sense of religion or whatever it may be. Who are you?
And then they pay no credence to all the wonderful things that they have said, and they judge all of her philosophies, all of her mindsets, all perspectives on her personal life with what she's trying to deal with. When you bring two human beings together, it's a dance all the time. So sometimes that dance doesn't work. That doesn't mean what she had said somewhere else about perspectives of human thought and objectivism are false or unworthy because of what's happened in our personal relationship. We use this with everything. It's not just Ann. It's been so many other people.
Well, it gets into when we start judging somebody, because this is where we're going to bridge now. When we start judging somebody, now we have a choice to make.
Okay, what's that
We
choice?
have to say that they're the perpetrator or the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So now, and it's our opinion to look at something. It's like the United States, here where we live. We can look at us as a victim or a perpetrator. A lot of countries would say, you've infused yourself.
We're a perpetrator.
Yeah, unrightfully. Look at all the wars in the Middle East. Yeah. It's like, should we even have been there? That's the big question.
You and I discussed the other day, like if we take our world map that we have here, I know the audience can't see it, but if we take that and we start marking all the points where the U.S. has been a part of a conflict, we cover the map. Cover the map. And those are just the things we publicly been aware of.
Yeah, wherever we had troops, CIA, I guarantee you every country, we've imposed our force and our will onto that country 100%. In some way.
Absolutely. Whether it is through the government or through our banking or whatever that might be, we've imposed. We just washed it over with the red, white, and blue.
So somebody in Pakistan may look at the United States and say they're the perpetrator and I'm the victim. Where we're in the United States, we may look at somebody in Pakistan that has an fundamentalist Islamic view and say they're the perpetrator, and here in the United States, we're the victims. Right. You see where this becomes a slippery slope?
Of course, a slippery slope.
And then it's based off of relativity, which really isn't.
Depending on where you are, your perspective, how you grew up, where you are consciously evolved, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter then. If it's all that difference of variance, then it's pointless. There's nothing objective about it.
Yeah, and the Stephen Horowitz, we were looking at this little pamphlet. Well, it's not little, it's 135 pages, Discovering Ayn Rand. And he says this, and I love this. He says, the primary moral message of Atlas Shrugged, which is a fiction book she wrote, I would argue is the idea that evil has, to a large degree, only the power that its victims grant to it.
Yeah. Evil only has power when you call someone a victim or you assume victimhood. This is like the free will issue. You're only a victim if you are telling this person, or if you are stating that the person in your mind has taken power from you. Have they taken power from you? Are you allowing them to do that? Are you living a life of choice, saying that I can only act within these bounds dependent on some other outside authority? You're creating your own self-serving evil. You're creating this idea of victimhood that doesn't need to be there. That's through your choice.
That's through your thought.
And the more of a victim you make yourself, the more evil this becomes in your own thoughts, in your own actions. No one's doing that to you. People will try and take away your free will. They may do it physically. There's instances of that, warfare, rape, whatever it might be. They may do that. They may hold you down. But after that fact, after those events, or any other one where it doesn't fall into that category, if you give up your free will through your free will of choice, and you say, I'm a victim, that's an unhealthy mindset that will limit your power. It will limit your evolution. It'll limit conscious development.
For something that was done to you in the past. Like prime example for myself, I could look at, I was raised in like a fundamentalist Baptist type, very, very hardcore. We couldn't listen to music that had drums in it, anything, because that was of Satan. I could only wear like button-up shirts, long sleeve. There was like lots of rules.
You're covered in tattoos.
I know, yeah. Totally opposite. But you look at something like that. Now, I could say, because of my fundamentalist upbringing, I am a victim and I can't change, and just give in to fear, because that's what that religion is based off of.
Right.
Fear of going to hell and not being good enough. And then just have my whole life run by that issue of that happened in my past.
Correct.
Or I can choose to take 100% responsibility and say that has no power over me.
Right. Or the religion is not allowed to make me a victim just for being a human being. What do you mean I'm born of sin? You already make me a victim? You already put me in error just because I was born?
Well, help me with this, because we talked about this a couple years ago, and I began to kind of like become self-aware of things like this. And one of the things that I said is that is not truth.
No.
That is a false religion. It is not truth. So if it is not truth, then how can I be a victim to something that's not true?
That's untrue.
Right.
And then if you can't be a victim to something that's untrue. And if something was true, there's no victimization in it.
No.
Because victimization is naturally false within itself. It actually can't sit in the category of true. Being a victim is a state of mind. Or when other people, a group comes in and says, you're a victim. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I'm not a victim. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to reinforce that thought pattern in my head. I don't want it to inhibit my own conscious power to this idea of victimhood, where I need other people to tell me who I am.
Or fix me. Because I'm a victim.
I'm responsible for my own fixing.
Because now when you say if a government comes to you, or a group, whatever it may be, and says, hey, you're a victim and we're going to help you, they're imposing on your free will.
You bet they are. Because now they're going to start making decisions for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in your own state of conscious power to make your own choices. You've now given that away for someone else to put you in a box and says, this is the box you will operate in. Whose choice is that? It's your choice.
And that's the problem with religion, because it says you are a sinner.
Yep.
You need the church. The church is the only way that can help you.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to do these certain things in order to get your golden Willy Wonka ticket to heaven.
And there's no guarantee.
And there's no guarantee.
Yeah. So you're doing all this stuff under no guarantee, and then you start judging other people. It's like, well, I did this that was good, and what you thought was good wasn't actually good, so I'm actually ahead of you on the totem pole.
Oh, yeah, you see that. You can go to like AA meetings or something like that, and and you'll hear this. Guys will be like, I go to AA meetings just so I realize I'm not as bad as that guy.
Correct.
It's just a bunch of victims sitting around in a circle.
Yeah.
talking about their victimhood.
Unless somebody pinned you to the ground, shoved a bottle of vodka in your mouth, and told you to drink it, that's them completely taking away your free will momentarily. But you being in that AA meeting, you had the choice to go there.
Right.
You made all the choices to continue to drink. Don't blame your genetics. Genetics don't help if alcoholism runs in the family, but it is a function of choice. So where is it in your mind to prevent yourself? If you know that alcoholism runs in the family, I should probably not have any. Don't do it. That's your choice. And you're not a victim. This was your free will that drove you to this point. Do not put yourself in some sort of category where you don't have the ability to fix it on your own.
Well, like alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be, all of those things, you become a victim to, I know this. I never drink a lot, but I was drinking every day, beers. No big deal. Everybody does it. They go home, they crack, and it's become a bad habit. But what I realized was, one, it's not healthy and it's very bad. Alcohol's poison. Number two, the biggest issue is that you can see you're trying to escape reality, and reality is reality. You're giving the illusion of escaping something, but it's still there.
You are an alcoholic.
You're basically blinding yourself to reality when you drink alcohol. And I'm saying, if you want to take recreational drugs, you want to drink alcohol occasionally, that's great. I do that, but not drugs, but alcohol. It doesn't matter.
Someone bought them.
Yeah, I'm too afraid.
Yeah.
I'm too chicken of I want to do like psychedelic stuff. But I'm just like, am I going to go off this super dark deep end and never come back?
Yeah, what happened to him?
But whenever I look at anything like that, it's just a matter of you putting a mask on, covering your eyes, covering your senses, and then you're fogging out for the amount of hours that you're buzzed so that you do not have to deal with reality and take 100% responsibility for who you are.
You're numbing yourself from reality. You can't objectively deal with the world. You can't reason.
Which is victimhood.
So you have to muddle it, right? You're saying, oh, I'm not strong enough in my mind.
Yes.
I'm not strong enough in my choices, so I have to resort to some sort of substance or something external to help me deal with my internal realizations.
Yeah, and the book Atlas Shrugged, we'll get back to the article in the beginning on the main page.
Yes.
If you saw Atlas, because basically I have it on my phone now because it was a cool picture. I don't know.
Yeah, it's out in front of Rockefeller Center.
Yeah, and it's a big giant, and he's holding the world, a big globe. And if you saw Atlas, and I'm reading the book, the giant who holds the world on his shoulders, if you saw that he stood blood running down his chest, his knees buckling, his arms trembling, but still trying to hold the world aloft with the last of his strength. And the greater his effort, the heavier the world bore down upon his shoulders. What would you tell him to do? And it's the title of this book, and this is where she comes in. It's beautiful. And it is to shrug. So the point here is that Atlas is only a victim because of his willingness to think he is more morally obligated to suffer, to continue doing this thing that is crushing him.
It's the martyr. It's that martyr mindset. I have to do it. I have to sacrifice myself for everybody else. You do not. We are all independently responsible for our own lives. And if we choose to be stewards of this planet, that's a plus. But you can't be a steward of this planet or really help anybody else until you learn to help yourself first.
Yeah, and if we get past the bullshit, really what it is it's, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm identifying as suffering.
Yeah.
I want you to look at me because I'm bleeding and I'm holding this world. I'm doing this all for you.
Correct. I'm the victim or the martyr.
I'm the victim. Please give me attention.
Yes.
That's what this boils down to.
That's
where she's like, just shrug it off. Shrug the world off.
Yeah, whatever. Bye. See you later.
It's so cool, though.
It doesn't tell you to be indignant about reality or the world and its problems. No. It just says, here is you, in the objective sense, do what you can to fix yourself, and within the limitations beyond that, help with other things. But do not try and carry the weight of the world on your own shoulders and then call for everybody to come watch you doing so. Nobody has any interest in that. But you can't help the world if you don't help yourself. And if Atlas is underneath this big, heavy globe, he's not helping himself.
No.
He's chosen to state of victim. He's chosen a losing battle.
That's what it is.
So what are you going to do? Call out when you choose a losing battle and say, oh, look at me choosing. Why would you be so stupid to choose the losing battle?
You cannot be the hero of your story if you're identifying as a victim.
No,
it's that simple.
No, you can't. And you can't help others if you can't help yourself. Hands down. That's just it.
And so for the most of the main characters in the book, the key moment is when they realize, here's a key moment of it, they are complicit in their own unhappiness because they have accepted the moral code of their victimizers.
The morals change when other people are telling you what your morals should be. If they're calling you the victim and they're saying this is how you need to act, this is how you need to feel, you'll never find happiness. Those people determine your happiness for you. There's no self-determination. There's no reasoning of your own thought. Again, you live in a state of belief and listening to these other people tell you what the world is or how your world should actually operate.
Your world. That's so important.
It's your world. It's your life. It's your right to your life. It's not someone else's right to tell you how to live your own life.
Live your own fucking life.
What's so hard about that?
So
because we say that, it's not about being selfish. It's just realizing that you have all the power within yourself to make the choice. And if you want a choice towards happiness, you need to figure out who you are. You need to figure out what doesn't work for you. You need to figure out where your morals sit. Don't let someone define it for you. Don't let a religious text define what your morals are, how you should act. You, under your own objective accord of looking at nature, creation, and reality in front of you, is enough to tell you how you need to act.
Well, I was talking to a small business owner the other day, and this was so funny. It's like, I'm staying up to 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm doing this because this person's not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to come into work and I'm doing this because this person can't handle this. And I stay for 12, 14 hours and I'm having to put out all these fires constantly because of this, this, and this. So now here's the choices. Because I'm doing I'm the victim and I'm doing everything for everybody and not holding anybody accountable. Now I've got to hurry because I'm working so much. I got to hurry through the drive-through. And now I got to eat bad food. Now I'm obese.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not taking care of my health. Now when I come home, I'm aggravated at my husband or wife or partner. I'm aggravated at my children. You have to be, and she talks about selfish being a good word in the sense of this way. You cannot be of service to others if you're not at 100% yourself. You've got to physically, mentally, spiritually, all emotionally, you've got to be striving for this evolutionary process of being better.
Correct.
And then that, in turn, will be an example to those that you serve that are around you.
And it's not better in the sense of being better than somebody else. It's being the best image of you. It's not going to the gym as a weightlifter and trying to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, but being the best version of you.
Because you know what works for you.
Correct. And we are all completely different within our material selves.
It's like, for an example, us. You're a climber.
Yeah.
You do not want to do anything that I'm doing.
No, I don't.
I want to lift super heavy weights and get really bulky, which is opposite of what a climber. You need long, thin muscles.
Yeah, that are strong and allow me to hang around.
Yeah,
all
exactly.
day long.
If you look like SpongeBob, a big square block,
yeah,
you can't climb the freaking granite.
You're dealing with reps and weight. And
but what's right for you is right for you. What's right for me is right for me.
That's precisely. But it's not for me to say that heavy weightlifting's wrong. It's bad for you. How do you know?
This is what people do.
But they do this all the time. Mm-hmm. Self-help books, whatever that might be.
And she says this is why it's so important for people to develop their own philosophy and ethics. And she says choosing to ignore ethics simply allows others to dictate the terms of morality.
Mm-hmm.
And to the extent that producers of the world tactically or explicitly accept the looters, because there's looters in the book, morality, they have given them the sanction of the victim. So let's get into ethics.
Let's talk about Lululemon.
Yes.
What were you talking about in Lululemon's thing with someone that
very, very
to shoplift
cool,
clothing?
progressive company?
Yeah.
I know somebody that works there and has shared all their human resources stuff with me, like what they're learning from it. And very interesting concepts. They actually said if you come in there and steal something from Lululemon, not to judge that person, that they may have needed it more than you.
You don't know their life.
Yes.
All you know is that they have pushed themselves in their thought and actions to creating this world where they need to go steal something.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what it's for. Maybe they need to feed themselves. We're not saying, it's not for us to say that it's right or wrong. I mean, we don't agree with it. It'd be great if they would come in and pay for it, but they didn't. But it's not for Lululemon to stand in there and say that's a bad person. Because how does Lululemon know if they're starving to death? They could be a criminal in a sense that they steal just to steal, but other people steal to survive.
And they've worked it in their profit models.
Yeah.
Lululemon charges a lot of money for their clothes.
So think about that. Think about that level of acceptance, even for someone that's going against what Lululemon's morals and ethics are. Their morals and ethics say they're a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to look at it as so. And if they're creating this error now, we would hope that they don't do the error later.
Yeah, and they said that you need to be nice to them and not confront them.
Yeah, there you go. Just be nice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that helps a lot too, because now you're not getting somebody pissed off.
You're
not
diffusing
maybe they're
it,
getting a knife or a gun. I mean, the list goes on and on. In the book, she has an issue, and she talks about this, and we're going to tick some people off, and this will be great, about a guy that leaves his marriage.
Okay.
Because the marriage has become like Atlas, with the globe. If you're in a relationship, whether it be business, personal, whatever it may be, and you're experiencing this hardship that is unbearable. If it's self-imposed, that's different. But if you just 5 years later find out that this is the wrong person for you,
then it's the wrong person.
But see, here's where moral plays. You see what I'm saying?
What?
People, we've been married for 62 years. You know what I'm saying? That's great. If you love each other, awesome. I'm so happy for you.
What if you're miserable for 60? What if you're a victim for 62 years?
But there are people out there that stay in a marriage. I had a lady tell me the other day, I'm staying in the marriage for the kids. So you do not love your husband, and why are you being a victim for your kids? You want to teach your kids that?
You want to teach your kids to do something that isn't them?
And her husband cheats on her all the time and does all these. So she's a victim, and she's training her daughters to live this life, to have men like the men did with her.
With Ayn Rand.
With Ayn Rand. She stood up for herself. She was like, fuck off. But, and it's like, that's not the lesson for you to learn. And it's not the lesson that you can teach your children. These daughters that you have, that you've created, they need to be powerful.
That's not a lesson. You're just living in a perpetual error.
There is no difference between male or female.
No, there isn't. It's human being to human being. And if one human being is not respecting the other, time to go.
Well, I mean, we all have male and female in all of us. So
yeah, we do. We do have that balance.
Yeah, Picasso, he's like, because he would fight with women and stuff like that, which is
he's
horrific.
Total chauvinist.
Yeah, total chauvinist. But
him and Trump would get along.
Yeah, but he was talking about that, how much feminine he has in him, and so he gets aggravated with women because of it. That's an excuse. That's a victim mindset.
Of course.
I mean, beautiful paintings, great artists, but so if he's hitting a woman, he's imposing on her free will.
Of course he is.
And that is evil or wrong, whatever you want to call it. And when you
think about it, when you strike her, you're slowing their evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So you break their leg. They can't walk around. They have no freedom of movement. Without freedom of movement, they can't open up the probabilities for new experience. You've limited their experience. And think about your own. The only way you deal with your emotions is by wailing on somebody. What does that teach you? Nothing. That is a projection. And you're projecting yourself on others, and there's no internal learning happening. So through you actually going out and abusing somebody, verbally or physically, you're slowing both people's evolution. You're doing a disservice to everybody. And you thought it was a release? You thought it was helping? No, you've only just made it worse for yourself. You've slowed your ability to learn. You've ignored your ability to learn. You've ignored responsibility of your thoughts.
That's so good. He says this, we're going to talk about this still. He says, if you're in a relationship where it seems impossible to please your partner, despite your best honest efforts to do so, it's likely to make you miserable.
Why does the partner have to be pleased?
But let's listen to this. This here is where it's worth asking. If you hear some responsibility by having bought into your partner's problematic value scale, that makes pleasing him or her impossible. You like how they always go back to, it's your responsibility.
It is your responsibility.
Where did the value scale come from where it's impossible to please him or her?
Why? I don't understand. Why is there pleasing? Why can't both people respect that they're human beings? They've come together in a relationship to work together, not fuse into that person's problems, not fuse into that person's mindsets. Each individual has independent mindsets, independent thoughts. And if we can find a way in unity to work together, to respect one another and understand that we're both responsible for our own actions, that's a healthy relationship.
And this is what he talks about with the victim mindset. He says, you agree to a set of rules that has rigged the game against you. You agree to lose and forego your own happiness.
Of course you do.
So you're creating a set of rules.
I'm a victim of the relationship. I'm a victim to the other person's mindset. I'm a victim to how they choose their actions. And then you're just like, I'm just an all-around victim. And then you're like, well, I'm just going to stay here and be miserable. And then when I go out and hang out with my friends, I'm going to talk to them about it, how miserable I am in my relationship. Wake up, pony up, leave.
Well, he says, shrug.
It's all done.
He says, shrug it off.
Shrug it off. It's not even a big deal. You want to know why? Because you were delusional. You're sleepwalking around. You have no sense of objective reality.
It's so funny because you talk to people after they go through a divorce. And we've made it such a huge deal too. It's so funny to me how divorce is such a bad thing when it should be like a really good thing. If two people did not get along and they tried.
Yeah.
And they made the decision to learn from each other.
Yeah.
And say, I know you've taught me a lot and I've taught me a lot. And you're going in this direction. I'm going in that direction. Thank you. I appreciate it. And they both decide to part ways so they can be free to explore other people that have that they can get along with and have the exact evolutionary, mindset as they're progressing forward. That's a good thing.
It's a great thing. But they've learned after the fact. And if you don't want divorce to happen, then why don't we all just be objective before we get into a relationship? Why don't we really learn who that other person is? Learn if they're really respecting, and then choose to unify. Then your divorce rates will go down. You want to know why? Because people understand each other on a human level first. And if they can respect that, now you're going to have a good relationship. Now when it comes into marriage, it stays a marriage. It stays a unification, not a divorce. And there continues that responsibility. It continues that respect of the other partner's choices.
Yeah, we talk a lot about labels and not labeling, but I like how they say this. They say naming what's happening and refusing to agree to the other person's rules is the first step of happiness. Naming is like it's not labeling the person. It's getting clarity on what it is. Yeah. What is the reality of happening right now?
If you don't know what it is, you don't know how to interpret it.
Because when people leave in a marriage, they say such generic foggy shit. It's like, usually it's money. We were just always didn't have any money.
No, it's not the money. Money does not create the problem.
No.
It's how you deal with your money in your relationship. It's you dealing with it. It's you dealing with your children. It's you dealing with your spouse's family. It's you dealing with your job problem and dragging it into the relationship. It doesn't have to do with the job, the money, the children, none of those things. It's you internally within your own mind.
It has nothing to do with the money, because if he is not willing to work and he's unemployed and he's just collecting a check and he's sitting on a couch smoking weed all day long watching Judge Judy.
Don't talk about me like that.
And he's watching Judge Judy and he won't take personal responsibility. The money is just the energy. It's the outcome of him doing work.
Correct.
So if he's not willing to work, that's his responsibility. But you don't need to be a part of that.
No, not at all. Not at all. And you have every choice not to be a part of it.
He says, but you first must recognize the role played by your passive acceptance of a rigged system.
Don't passively accept. That's like going into the casino and saying, this is what it is. I'm going to win. And I'm going to win all day long. What are you talking about? It's set up for you to lose. Why do people accept things that are set up for us to lose? Mm-hmm. Why do we accept dictators that set things up for us to lose?
Why are you accepting somebody else's group or a person's moral code?
Correct, which is set up for you to lose. Why do you accept Christianity if it tells you you're a fucking sinner the second you come out of a vagina? What's with that?
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
It's a losing system. Why would I walk around on the streets and say, I love the USA, but it's a losing system if you're a black male?
Right.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why would I accept a system in the Middle East and getting stoned for being a woman? Why would I accept that system? What's with that? What, because the religion says this is how it's supposed to be? Because one system dictates another system, which I have to be bound by? Where's my choice? Why do I want to be a part of that losing thing? Create a system that works and wins for everybody.
Create your system. He says find new rules or different players.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Or say, fuck the rules. This is my world that I need to figure out that works for me. We all are going to have different rules. And if we all accept the high moral code, if we realize, it's probably not good to kill somebody else, just through observation, it's probably not good to shoot. It doesn't make me feel good to shoot a human being. It doesn't make me feel good to stone a woman to death. It doesn't make me feel good to arrest somebody just because they're black. Well, then don't do it.
It doesn't feel me good saying these mean words to this person and mentally imposing on their free will.
Yeah, okay, great.
Because I feel bad, I'm making them feel less.
Yeah, why?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So Ayn Rand said this. This is her writing. This is so, especially the middle part. She says, do not let your fire go out. Spark by irreplaceable spark in the hopeless swamps of the not quite, the not yet, and the not at all. Listen to this next part, bro. Do not let the hero in your soul perish in lonely frustration for the life you deserved and have never been able to reach.
Do you know how many times I've heard from people, it's too late. Other things happen in life. I didn't have the ability to do what I wanted to do. What are you talking about? You've made every choice to stand here in this moment to tell me that exact line. You're not a victim of your own life. You made these choices. Don't tell me other stuff crept up and I'm supposed to feel bad for you because you didn't do something more that aligned with who you were. That's on you.
100%.
You think I'm sitting around whining, not doing what I want to do? I figured out who I am. I figured out how I align with nature. I figured out how to respect other human beings. I didn't wait around for something to happen, some random cosmic event or a god to come down and say, oh, now is your time. I decided my own time. I chose right now what was best for me so that I could do best for others.
And you're continually learning that.
And I learn that every single day. I consistently refine through my objective analysis of looking at myself, nature, the cosmos, and other human beings. That is how I learn. That is how I evolve. And if you don't want to lose that spark, come back for part 2.